Alright, so a little bit weird today because my Discord is a little bit crazy. So I have a hard time hearing people talk. People have robotic voices, but they tell me in the academy that they can hear me. So that is the most important thing. First of all, I want to apologize. There will probably be a lot of coughing from me, and maybe sometimes I will just get stuck in a sentence because my throat is a little bit messed up still. But what I thought we would do today is I wanted to discuss the kind of mental aspect of Counter-Strike. And this is because it's something that honestly is relevant no matter your level. Doesn't matter if you are a pro or a beginner or a semi-pro or Phaser level 10, whatever it may be, there will be times where you lose your confidence. There will be times where you get nervous because you're playing against a really good player, or you are about to hit a new milestone, or the game is getting close and tense. There could be a million reasons for that. And I am not a trained psychologist or something like this. I'm not a trained mental coach. But what I have had is mental coaching a few different times in my Counter-Strike career. And it's something that has taught me an awful lot. It will be very, how can I say, as always, a little bit over the place, where we try to piece things together as we go. I think what I will be doing is just sharing stories of when I've had a piece of feedback by a mental coach that sort of changed my approach to the game, or made me understand something that I didn't already know. And the first thing that comes to mind was back in 2021, I was standing in for this team called Complexity, and they had a mental coach called Edward Cleland, and this guy has now been working with Complexity. I think he was with Evil Geniuses, I think he was with G2, and I think now he is with Liquid. Not quite sure, but I think he has definitely been to a lot of the top teams. I only had the chance to talk to him for a couple of days, but he did a whole lot of good things for my mental in the small time where I was there as a stand-in. And one of the most important things he taught me, which is a sentence that I would like to share with you guys, is that in Counter-Strike, you only have the pressure that you put on yourself. To try and kind of explain in a little bit more detail why I think this sentence is quite important is because it doesn't really matter if you are playing matchmaking, or if you're playing on a stage, or if you are in a tense game situation or whatever. Realistically, none of it matters. The only thing that matters is your own expectations. So if you are expecting yourself to perform really well and you're not, this could be something that will kind of put you out of, out of the flow state. Real quick, talking about flow state, that might be something new for some of the people here or the people watching the video. Flow state is essentially this state of mind that everyone who does any kind of sports will have tried at some point. It's basically the feeling of being in flow. It is when, for example, let's say I'm peeking window, I kill someone, now I'm immediately expecting, basically without me even thinking, it's just my intuition taking over, expecting a peek out of the connector player, so I'm stopping, I'm holding, I'm killing him, then I'm now taking space, expecting that the short player comes out, I'm dodging a flash, I peek, I jump up on bench, I kill him, and everything that I'm doing is what they in some physical sports call in one motion. So in... Yeah? Sorry? Was it a question, or was it just... maybe it's just a microphone. You might have to write your question, because if it even is a question, but you are so robotic to me, I have no idea what any of those words mean. I'm sorry. Is the Discord messing up today? Yeah, it's on my end completely. It's the Discord server only, though. My own... Oh, on his. Okay. Yeah, I don't know then. All good. But either way, doing something in one motion in physical sports would be something like, I don't know, in an American football game, it would be something like, being a receiver and the ball is coming towards you, and as you are still in the motion of running, you basically just quickly look back, you grab the ball, and you just keep running without breaking any sort of momentum. In Counter-Strike, doing something in one motion, you can't really say it in the same way, but it's more the fact that everything in terms of your aim and your movement just makes sense, and as soon as you do something, like you get a kill, you're immediately on to the next thing. You never spend time even for a very short while thinking about, what should I be doing next, and blah, blah, blah. Everything just happens purely on instinct and intuition. This is flow state. And flow state is basically when, you just have like the game of your life. Or the feeling of having the capability of having the game of your life, basically. That's how I understand it, at least. Again, normally when I talk about Counter-Strike stuff, I am very confident in what I'm saying, because I've spent years refining this. Obviously, I'm a little bit out of my depth, and it is possible that someone who is studying psychology or a sports psychologist is watching this video and thinking what he's saying is wrong. I will explain, obviously, what, from my understanding, these things are. Maybe it's not technically 100% correct, but it's still things that have helped me in my Counter-Strike career, and that's why I want to share them with you. So, basically, when it comes to putting pressure on yourself, or this sentence, you only have the pressure you put on yourself, well, realistically, this is true. In a sort of perfect scenario, you don't at all worry about something like, what do your teammates think of you? Or I hate peeking this angle because when I do it, I always lose this duel. Or, oh my god, I'm playing so bad. I wonder what the fans are thinking. I wonder what the opponents are thinking. I messed up last round. Now, like, you maybe can't stop thinking about it. These kind of thoughts that are hindering you from sort of performing to your absolute top potential. And that is why this is one of those sentences that I stand by, because if you can actually get into this mindset that there's only the pressure you put on yourself, everything becomes much easier. You are more easily able to forgive yourself for a mistake you made. You are more easily able to forgive yourself for having a bad performance. Even if you play towards the higher levels, if you have a bad start to a game, this is what will allow you to keep your focus up and get back into the game. Now, talking about some more things that I've learned from sports psychologists or mental coaches, is that sort of falsely, I assumed, especially when I was in Sprout and probably to some extent also in Heroic, this is when I started working with mental coaches, that nerves are something that the best players don't have, or at least they don't feel them. It's easy to think when you watch someone like Simple or Saivu, who's playing out of his mind and is just, smacking down everyone, that these people don't feel almost emotion, that they don't get nervous, they don't, have these sort of, what in a way would feel as negative. But honestly, and this is what I've been told by many mental coaches, and I've asked top players about this as well, nerves definitely do come into play. Sometimes they are there when you play a big match, sometimes they are there when you play whatever, a group stage where it's kind of all or nothing, and maybe sometimes it's just because you are the favorite and they are the underdog. It could be many things, but what you as a Counter-Strike player or just a sports person in general gotta understand is that nerves is a part of the game, and it's something that typically you get better at handling with experience because you have had more time to understand these emotions and understand how they impact your body. So, for example, for me, a common reaction when I get nervous is that my spray gets a little bit shaky. Like I tense up my hand too much as I'm spraying, and my spray becomes shaky. It could be that I'm taking a rash decision where instead of taking the time to hold an angle, I will do more stuff where I'm just running, jumping around corners and stuff like this. But really, I remember hearing from, I see your question, part of it, I'll get to it in just a moment. I remember as Magisk were in Astralis, he had recently joined, maybe they had won one major, maybe two. He mentioned that nerves was absolutely something he had to deal with, but especially, I guess still, even though you are a top player, the nerves are what reminds you that you care about the game. And really, a lot of having a good understanding of the mental game of sports is being able to channel things that are otherwise negative into something that's positive. So when you get nervous, instead of thinking like, I'm gonna ruin everything now, I'm shaky, I can't hit my shots, I'm not feeling confident, blah, blah, blah. Instead, use it as something positive. Think to yourself, why do I get nervous? Well, I get nervous because I care. And that feeling of caring is what drives you as a Counter-Strike player. This is what drives you as a competitor. If you didn't care at all, well, then you likely would never get good at the game in the first place. And you likely would not be playing this game for thousands of hours like a lot of the people who are in this call and watching this video will be doing. So, this is, I guess, the number one thing I hope we can reach from this session, or at least get people closer to understanding sort of not necessarily what emotions are good and what are bad, but more so how do we take something that we normally perceive as negative and channel it into something positive. So let me get your question. Do you feel like this mentality can lead into some players not caring or dying in stupid ways because they brush off mistakes and keep doing the same thing? My experience playing recently. Yes, kind of. I do agree that if you feel like there's no pressure on yourself, this can make you feel like you don't care. Really, it's also a little bit about tricking your mind into what it needs. If you are a type of guy who doesn't get very nervous, because obviously there is difference in how much nerves affect different people. There are even some countries where people feel like they're naturally more like stoic. If you look at any Finnish player in the Counter-Strike scene, basically ever, you will see that these people are emotionless. And this is not necessarily a positive, it's not necessarily a negative. Having emotions, positive and negative, can do you a lot of good, but also, I guess, being more stoic means you are probably more calm, you get less nervous and this kind of thing. And if you are the type of guy who doesn't really get nervous and overall has this kind of mentality that, it's just a game, whatever. Well, it can definitely lead to you not caring or dying in stupid ways. For me, I've always had a huge passion for Counter-Strike. I care about every single round I play. Doesn't matter if it's with friends, with my girlfriend, if it's high-level Counter-Strike professionally. I will always care about basically every round that I play. And for me, I've just found out that it's easier for me to realize, I guess, that it's just a game. And that even though I've built my adult life on playing Counter-Strike, and basically have been living off Counter-Strike for almost 10 years now, in the end, it is just a game. And even if I would lose both my arms and I could never play Counter-Strike again, well, my life would continue to have meaning. And, I think I'll stop it there and real quick get to this question. Lack of emotions can help raise the skill floor. Having emotions can help raise the skill ceiling. Kind of helps in two different ways either way. I actually really agree with what Banana is saying here. Lack of emotions definitely can make you have a more consistent baseline, but having emotions can help raise the skill ceiling. And if you take the example of earlier, where I said, being nervous, it can be a positive thing as well. Well, another way to channel that into something positive is by saying, I'm nervous. Because I'm nervous, I care a lot. Because I care a lot, I will likely have more adrenaline in my body, which will make me react faster to, I guess, stimuli, like any sound, any communication from a teammate, anyone who is moving. If someone steps into my crosshair, I'll be shooting faster. And this is something that can be an advantage, whereas sometimes it can be an advantage to sort of be more calm and take your time. One isn't inherently better than the other, and being able to understand that they are just emotions and that you can sort of work with them instead of working around them, I guess. That's what's been helping me. As soon as I heard this, that nerves are a common thing and that it shouldn't be something you fear, I went into my next matches with the mindset that, oh, I'm nervous now. I must really care about this match. Let me try my best and deliver a good result. I will real quick bring up a couple of quotes I have written down. I'm planning to make a video. And this is, I guess, also mostly, or at least some of them are kind of based around the mental game of Counter-Strike. One of the sentences as well that I heard from this Edward when I played in Complexity is the sentence, if it is not your last game, then it is technically just practice. And as a retired ex-pro, this hits a little bit different than the first time I heard it. But in reality, it doesn't really matter how good you are right now or how good you were in your last match. The only thing that matters is how good you are in the end. I have now had a pro career for 5 years, and I have a lot to look back on. And there were definitely times in my career where I played like garbage. I played at some point in this team called Alpha, and we just could not make it work. No matter what we did, we put in the hours, we did everything we could, we just sucked as a team. These things happen. And yet, after this, I still actually got onto my first pro contract. I still managed to play some of the bigger tournaments with Heroic. And this idea that if it's not your last game, it's just practice, is just very soothing in a way. Even if you're having a tough match, no need to panic. It's probably not going to be your last game, so you're just practicing for the future ones. With this sentence as well, actually I feel like I had a point with this, but now I forgot it a little bit. Never mind. I will move on to a sentence that I thought about today while I was sleeping somehow. I woke up in the middle of the night. I had to write this down. This is also about the mentality, not so much in a match, but more so how you approach practice. And the sentence that I came up with today is that it's easier to learn than it is to unlearn. If I am trying my hardest on a daily basis, and not just trying my hardest in every match, but trying my hardest in every round. Every round I'm trying to play it smart. When it's 5-on-1, I don't overpeak. I don't rush down the last guy. I don't... These kind of things. I am building a good habit. And all it takes for me is to just try my hardest. I think trying your hardest is something you should obviously always do. This sounds pretty obvious. But also... it's something you should always be able to do. There will be days where you, like myself today, maybe are ill. Maybe there's something going on in your personal life that makes things hard. But even if you're only at 70%, I want you to give your full 70%. And in terms of it is hard to unlearn. Well, if you're one of those guys who plays Faceit in a way where when they have eco, you kill one, you kill two, then you take out a nade, you swing, and I try to kill everyone here and stuff just because they're eco. Well, this is learning, teaching yourself bad habits. And at least the way Counter-Strike has been for me it is much harder to get out of this like face it mindset, as I call it, where you are having a lot of bad habits because you're kind of just playing the rounds in the most fun way. What you should instead be doing is never learn the bad habits in the first place. And so if you see that you are on the verge of like learning something bad, like like I was coaching a team, for example, and in every 5-on-1, basically the same player would be playing aggressive somewhere, trying to find info, because when the person died, okay, it's still a 4-on-1, we still win a round, but now we have information. And I brought it up like, okay, but do we need the information in a 5-on-1, or would we just be able to set up like good positioning and have a lot of trade potential without the information? And this person agreed that we don't in a 5-on-1 need information. We can stack around the bomb sites, and as long as we have a trade potential, well, this will always be a net positive when compared to someone running and dying for information, because if we have trade potential and the trade does come in, random example, let's say we have someone playing Closier Stairs, even if this person doesn't win the duel, if we have someone playing right side firebox like this and checking slope on timing, well, even if the Stairs player dies, now you can swing and trade, and we will always, at worst, in this perfect example, win the round 4v0. If we have someone who runs and dies out in mid and dies for this information, well, now the T can move anywhere and the information is technically useless. And now it's possible for the T to get another kill, maybe multiple. So, not learning the bad habits in the first place will get you a lot further than having to learn bad habits and unlearn them again. This is obviously all obvious. Sorry, my nose is so blocked. But at the same time, sometimes the obvious things are not what we choose to do. Even though it's very clearly the better solution, there will be days where you're too tired or you didn't get something to eat and stuff like this, and you start doing some of the bad things. And that's also when my first mental coach told me we should always strive to be focused while playing. But if we lose our focus, we don't need to beat ourselves up about it. The only thing we have to do is refocus. He said, it's not... Holy hell, my nose is annoying. It's not bad to lose focus for a couple of seconds, as long as your reaction to that is to refocus. No human being can be focused 100% of the time. Especially if you play a long match or many matches, or again, there's something in your personal life, didn't get enough sleep, didn't get enough food, all these kind of things. And that's why I really recommend just thinking like this. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit distracted because some people can hear me and some people can't. I'm going to blow my nose real quick and then let's get back to it. All right. So, Novi says, if you like to goof around in matchmaking because it's just a game and you don't care, it would be harder to get into Faceit or ECA games and have good habits. Yeah, that's exactly it. Why bother spending time playing matchmaking and giving yourself bad habits when instead you could just not be doing the bad things in the first place? It sounds like I'm speaking to idiots, and even when I say it, it sounds so stupid. But just have this mindset that teaching, like learning something that's wrong, if you know it's wrong, if you know hunting ecos is wrong, why bother learning it? Not only are you wasting time when you're learning, but you're also wasting the time where you have to unlearn it. And that's, I guess, the point of it. Yeah, okay. I want to find also... I have another note on my phone, and this was honestly what... Okay. Hang on a little bit, because I have a note on my phone, and I had actually planned to bring this up, but yes. Let me see. Um,
Can I interrupt for a second?
you can interrupt for 1 second, yeah, while I find this.
Can people hear it?
Everyone can hear it.
Oh, hello guys. My dad will go with the dog, so you don't have to.
Perfect.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Yes. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Sleep well. Okay, guys, I managed to find it in that time, and now I don't have to take the dog, so that is very nice. I want to share with you something I have never shared with anyone before, at least not on the internet. I have a document from the 10th of December 2018 at 2002. And it's a sort of mindset thing that I wrote together with my mental coach at the time. In fact, it's actually from 2018 February. I guess the last time I edited in it was December. But I was at the time struggling with, people were saying I was too passive of an AWP. And what I found out was that when I'm being proactive, so when I'm doing things, when I'm taking action, I'm playing better. Doesn't have to be necessarily that I'm going to play super aggressive, but it could be something like talking a lot. It could be something like setting up around. It could be something like calling a strat. It could be many things. Anything where I was doing something made me play better. And so I will read you, I will try to translate it as we go because it's in Danish. But I wrote, I need to be proactive because when I'm not proactive, I am disappointing myself and I'm not living up to my own expectations. Now, another one of the things that my first mental coach, a guy called Henrik Jarsbæk, by the way, great, phenomenal guy. I think he works with Huxi now, or at least I know he did. Like as a personal mental coach, amazing guy. He also taught me that whenever I talk to myself with something like this, I have to be very concrete. Don't be like, I need to be more proactive. What does being more proactive mean? No, it needs to be, I have to be proactive. Because when I don't, I disappoint myself. It can't be, I need to be more proactive because otherwise sometimes I will get a little bit disappointed after the match. I continue. I wrote, without being proactive, I am leaving my teammates behind. They need me to be their playmaker. And these are, as you can tell, all very short, all very concrete. Then the last thing I have in this part is I am proactive because I want to avoid becoming a bystander during the game, and so that I can be proud of my own performance after. Now, this is a really important point. This is something I bring up a lot when I do my individual coaching sessions, is that a lot of the people that I coach, I would say 30% of people play on T-side in a way where they are okay with not being a part of the play. Like, let's say I'm in A house and I'm with the mindset of I'm playing a lurk. Well, now I will wait basically for my teammates all to die in mid, and either my teammates are splitting up con and winning the round, or my teammates are splitting up con and losing the round. Mirage is not a great example for this. Actually, I will bring up a specific example because I did a coaching session today, and I might as well use this specific example to explain what I'm talking about. Because this is about avoiding to be a bystander in a match is important on both sides, both CT and T. But understanding what it means or what you should avoid here is very important. So my guy who I was coaching this morning was, he went A with an AWP on Vertigo. He was completely alone, and he was just staying in the back here. And he wrote as a note to explain why he was there that I am playing towards A because I want to see if anyone does anything stupid, and when my teammates hit B, then maybe I can kill a CT who is pushing behind. I understand his reasoning somewhat, but let's run the two scenarios, right? Let's say he's standing here and his team now goes B, and his team kills everyone. And this CT tries to push behind. Then Wait, can you guys not see the screen? Wait, what happened? Oh my god, I've never even started streaming and listening to like a podcast. Well, the recording has it also. Anyway, I was just flying around. Okay, perfect. That makes sense. Thank you for telling me. I'm happy I had Discord open. Native podcast. Honestly, maybe I should. Anyway, the guy was here on A. Thank you for asking that question. It would have been awkward if I would have been sitting here for like 10 minutes talking about this. So he was just holding here on A, and he said, yeah, I'm holding if anyone makes a mistake, and if a CT decides to push in the back and try to flank, we will, I will get a kill. In theory, it sounds like it makes sense, but let's run the two scenarios. Scenario 1, his team goes B, kills everyone, one CT pushes behind, and my guy gets killed. Okay? So, okay, well, if they go B and they kill everyone on B, and they have the bomb site, how much impact does this one kill have of the CT pushing them back? It basically has zero impact, because the round has already been won on B. Well, the other scenario is they go B, they die, one CT pushes in the back, and my guy gets killed. Okay, well, if these are the two scenarios, it's clear that my guy gets killed, which is nice. This is, by the way, only in the event that the CT pushes behind, which is like somewhat unlikely. So I would say a majority of the time he won't even get a kill. He will just be standing here. But the point of it is that he's playing in a way where he's a bystander in the match. No matter what, or like, the only way the round is won or lost is by his teammates. He has zero impact in this round. He might get a kill. He might even be in a situation where he can win a clutch. Maybe he will win a clutch. But he's setting himself up to be a bystander in this particular round because he is playing in a way where he doesn't even give himself a chance to have impact. He fully 100% relies on his team to either win or lose the round of B, and he has no impact on this. I had another guy I was coaching. He was playing Ancient, and every round he was always playing like right behind someone. And this was good, but it was just as if he was always afraid of making a play. And if you never ever try anything on T, well, you are kind of playing as a bystander. If you're playing right next to someone and you're close to trade and these kind of things, that can, make sense. You can still have impact even if you're not the entry. But if you're playing in an area where you don't have any teammates close, you are not in a position to take a lurk timing. Like, how is my guy going to lurk up A with an AWP and take over A? I mean, it could happen, but that still means that the guys have to at least be trading somewhat evenly on B and be able to go back, and then my guy has to go up and take A and end sandbags and hold this rotation, and it's just still such a hard round, So this is why I wrote these notes. Obviously, at this point already, I was playing in Sparta. I was a professional player. But in fact, after writing these lines with my men's coach, I went on to have what I still consider to be my best tournament ever in terms of individual performance. I have a few more lines here. This is not about being proactive, I think. This is more just what I need to be doing for the team. And some of it is highlighted. You guys can't see what's highlighted, but basically the first two words are I will, and they are highlighted. I will, when I face hardship, continue to communicate informations effectively to my teammates. This is basically just something that says, even if I get tilted, even if I think we're going to lose the round, even if I think we're going to lose the match, even if I think we're bombing out of the tournament, I am going to communicate effectively to my teammates the entire time. And again, notice how I'm not saying I will communicate effectively. I'm also not saying I will communicate as effectively as possible. No, I'm saying I will continue to communicate informations effectively. This is, while small, these are the kind of mental tricks you can play with your brain, where as I'm reading this, I'm essentially telling myself, this is what I'm already doing, but I need to continue to do it no matter what. Next line. I will coordinate tactics, setups, teammates' positions, so that I can promote the teamwork and by that better our chances for victory. Again, I will do this. I will coordinate tactics, setups, teammates' positions, so that I can make us play better as a team, and we can have a bigger chance of victory. Also very good. And the last line, I have to play aggressively, both early round and mid round, no matter the game's result, my own score, or any other stress factors. And this, the game's result, is very key, obviously. That was kind of obvious. My own score, that's already where, I don't know if I'm the only one, but when I read this, I'm already getting like a little bit of, what's that called? Like getting something in my throat. Like it's like a gulp moment. Just when I hear that, I'm gonna play the same, no matter my own score. You already think like, oh, that sounds hard. But I wrote that. I'm gonna do that no matter what. And then the last thing, which is something I would have never ever come up with if I didn't have a mental coach on this, or other stress factors. Now, what is other stress factors? This could be a million things. It could be nerves. It could be lack of sleep. It could be my teammates are not doing what I'm saying. I'm tilted because we just lost an easy round. We should be winning this match. We are so much better than these guys. I don't want to go out of this tournament right now. Doesn't really matter. You have to be playing the same, no matter these stress factors. And I think that's what truly sets apart someone like Saiwu. This is what I see in him the most. He really does not care about the occasion, he does, because I've just told you that everyone cares. He does care, but he seems very unaffected by it. And this is why he seems like a guy who's impossible to topple mentally. This guy's been playing top tier Counter-Strike now for somewhere between 4 and 5 years, and I have never once seen him tilt on a camera. Ever. I've seen every other player tilt. I've never seen Saiwu visibly tilt. I've never seen him get frustrated by missing a shot. I've never seen him say anything harsh to his teammates. In fact, I've even played with him, and he was nothing but nice. Be like him. That's the goal. Do you have much experience with NA players versus EU player mentality? At least on facet level, I feel like NA players are very, very individualistic, and I think more collectively, so it is very difficult to play with lots of player base. It seems like lots of NA players just trying to maximize frag and not win objectives. Yeah, that's also my opinion. And that's why if you are one of the few NA players who are able to understand the game on a deeper level than something individualistic, you will perform well in that scene. Simple as. Novi says also, what about Apex? Well, Apex is kind of the opposite of Saiwu. He's very emotional, very energetic, and I personally think that Apex has a really good personality to be a leader. I have noticed that almost all of the good in-game leaders, like the best in-game leaders we have right now, are all hype in-game leaders, as I call them. Kerrigan, very hype, yelling, screaming. Apex, the number 1 and 2 basically. Apex and Kerrigan, both hype, very loud, yelling. Cadian, a guy who many would say probably has kind of overperformed with his teams, considering, they had good players obviously, but had a very interesting system that was unique to them. Definitely a hype IGL. We can see someone who is actually revered to be one of the best in-game leaders, or like one of the best Counter-Strike minds actively playing right now, at least from interviews and stuff. Someone like LXCB, while I have no doubt the guy has a great read of the game, and I definitely think he's a phenomenal IGL as well, this is a guy who has never really been able to put together tournament wins, or consistent tournament wins, or just many tournament wins in general, even with him being like on G2 and Navi now. And so this not to say that one is better than the other, but when you're someone like there are basically people like Saiwu and people like Apex. They can exist in the same space, and they can have sort of different roles to fill. I guess is the way I want to say that. Yeah, let me answer some more questions. You mentioned that Magis was very nervous. Then, if I said that, I explained it poorly. I just remember seeing some kind of interview or some kind of footage with Magis where he said that he did sometimes get nervous, but when it happened, then he would try to channel into something positive. I don't have the impression that Magis is very nervous. He seems to be the least nervous person on the server 99% of the time in my eyes. Yeah, I think he is a guy who isn't very nervous by the looks of it, but looks can be deceiving. I watched 2015 Cologne final Envy vs Fnatic and saw them throw the 10-5-2 lead they had. What do you think went through their mind? This is actually kind of this is a good question, because essentially we can talk about things about the mental aspect of Counter-Strike for a million years, but nothing is sort of more scary than a comeback. And undoubtedly, while they were playing this match, they were sitting there thinking that, oh my god, it's major final, and we're throwing it in the last map, blah 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 blah. How can we be doing this? Okay, we gotta go back. Like, we gotta get our mind straight. We gotta focus now. Okay, let's win. And then you lose this one round, and then now your money is broken, and then it's almost like you get physical pain from it, and all these kind of things. We've all experienced the emotions connected to a comeback. It's obviously hard to predict exactly what they were thinking, but this is again an example of where this line is really powerful. It doesn't matter about the game's result. It doesn't matter about the occasion or your own score or whatever. To some extent, right? And I have had this thought many times, and I want to make sure I explain it in a way so that people don't misunderstand me. But I have seen, and I think it's quite specific to esports or Counter-Strike especially. Oftentimes, when a player is ill, he will play better than if he's not ill, depending on how he is ill. If it is something like a bad headache, this will make him play worse. I remember one time, BlameF, he was playing at a tournament, a big tournament, not with me, but I just remember this situation happened, I think, shortly after signing with Astralis, like in the first weeks, where he was just throwing up in between rounds, and it was horrific for him to play. This is also not something that's going to make you play better, obviously. But something like what I've got right now, which is just like a cold or something, I'm coughing, and overall my body is a little bit more exhausted. Well, this feeling of your body being exhausted typically makes for smoother mouse movements. It might make it that you are a little bit slower in your movements overall, and I've seen it a million times that people actually perform better. This to preface what I'm saying now, which is, in a way, the ideal Counter-Strike player does not have emotion. You want the mindset that emotions don't exist, to some extent. And probably if there is someone who has knowledge on this, they will be yelling at me right now. If you don't have any emotions, well, then you don't get nervous. You don't, everything in your performance is consistent. It doesn't matter if you are playing a regular matchmaking, if you're playing high tier solo queue pugs, doesn't matter if you're playing on stage, you will be approaching the game in the same way in every single instance, and being able to consistently sort of feel the same in your body when you're playing is an advantage. Consistency is an advantage. With that said, though, the absolutely ideal scenario is being able to be somewhat robotic, but only have positive emotion. When I say positive emotion, I mean hyping up teammates, I mean motivating teammates, I mean yelling after you win a round, these kind of things. And it's almost impossible to have emotions without also having negative emotions. Emotions of tilt, emotions where you're complaining to your teammate, emotions where you're feeling let down, emotions where you have self-doubt. But what I have always found for me personally is that when I am really playing my best Counter-Strike is when I am able to reach flow state, but also not have emotion. Only emotions when I yell. I know this. Okay, now we're going really like to the deep end, right? But I've had times, for example, when I was standing in for complexity, like I mentioned earlier, where I would be yelling, and I'll be yelling so loud that my blood pressure and all these things would just be skyrocketing, and it would make it really difficult for me to play consistently in the next round, simply because the sort of, I guess, physiological, I guess is what it's called, aspects of my body have changed in between rounds because of my yelling. And this maybe makes me more nervous or more jittery or whatever it may be. But I have sometimes, when I've been playing my absolute best, I've been able to be almost emotionless, but still being able to yell and hype up the team. And if you can reach that, you will, in my opinion, perform at your top level. Now, I know there are some questions. I'll get to them soon. But what I wanted to say before is that I used to be very emotional when I was playing. And I played with this guy, Rizix, for many years actually. And at some point he said something, and it's such a stupid thing, but it actually, I was still thinking about it 6 years later. Actually, it's probably 7 years later. He told me to stay calm all the way into your mind. I'm kind of translating this a little bit bad. It sounds better in Danish, but he basically said that I should have ro, as we call it in Danish, helt ind i sindet. Yeah. It sounds kind of stupid, but what he basically meant was just that I needed to find a way where I could completely relax my body and just find this, I don't know, sort of happy place. I don't know if anyone here has watched Happy Gilmore. You will know what I mean when I say happy place, but this place of almost euphoria where it's like I don't care about anything. No matter what happens, it's all going to be good. And whenever I was playing my best Counter-Strike, I was having this calmness all the way deep inside my mind. It's almost hard to explain, but maybe other people have also tried it. It would literally get to a point where if I would be eating food before a match, I would on purpose do it slowly. Like I would make my body move slowly to try and just slow down everything that was going on, except my mind. I was taking good care of my mind in terms of sleeping well, drinking well, eating well, all these things, while at the same time trying to almost meditate myself into a state of calmness that is really hard to reach when you're playing competitive professional Counter-Strike. And yeah, now that you guys have heard it, you can try it yourself. I know a lot of mental coaches, they recommend meditating as well. A lot of mental coaches recommend what's called mindfulness as well. Quickly to touch on mindfulness. Mindfulness would be, maybe you've done it yourself, where you're laying in bed at night, you're trying to fall asleep, it's not really working, and so you put on like some kind of audio thing where it says like, breathe deep, think about your toes, and then it's like moving up, think about your shins, think about your knees, think about your thighs, think about the entirety of your legs and how they are completely, heavy and relaxed, something like this. This is mindfulness, where you basically have your mind fully focused on one thing, and you have a sort of a guiding experience to just feeling your senses, so that you can kind of, how can I say, just relax. All right. I know I'm talking a lot of bullshit a little bit. I'm a little bit everywhere all at once. These are very, how can I say, these are thoughts that I've had throughout many years. I'm trying to share as much as I can, but it's not really something that I've written down in like a worksheet or something like this. That's why we're maybe jumping a little bit back and forth. Let me get to some of the questions. I guess, though, I feel when playing games, we start having a positive start with the team, they usually catch on and also join in on a positive mindset. That's true. I agree. Would you say the point of training is to make sure that your worst day is better than your opponent's best, being more consistent? I mean, if you can manage that, then you're going to be the best player in the world, but this is not realistic. You need to set realistic goals. You need your worst day to still be an average day. That's how I would say it. Like, more like your worst day needs to be close to the average of an opponent's day. Yeah, I agree with Banana, who also wrote it. Does diet and sleep matter that much? Yes, it does. And this is actually one of the really important things that I've learned. I have had a few times where I have either had a burnout or I felt burnt out. I had one when joining Sprout. Some of you may not know, but before joining my first professional team, I had been doing YouTube. I've been making some money. And I just dropped out of university, law school. I decided to go all in on my dream, and I played 17 months without salary. I was tapping into every single piece of paper, any piece of money that I could absolutely muster from my bank account, and I was basically fully broke after the 17 months when I got the call up to try playing with Sprout. And I was burned out because I'd been grinding extremely hard. My girlfriend was, at the time, it was a different girlfriend, but my ex, she was an architecture student, so she was gone from 8 to 16, and my team was practicing in the evening, so I was playing something like 10, 12 hours a day. When I joined Sprout, I was pretty burned out, and what my mental coach told me was that the best way I can describe it basically is, probably there are some people here who go to the gym, or at least people here who are somewhat familiar with going to the gym. Now, the way it works is, even the strongest men in the world, even the bodybuilders, even the whatever, they, okay, I'm not super knowledgeable on bodybuilding, these kind of things, but from my understanding, they do what's called splits. So they will split up their workouts in, like, okay, today we're doing like legs, today we're doing, for example, biceps back, and today, like, then the next day we're doing triceps chest, something like this. And then they do like legs one day, biceps back, triceps chest. I think also some people call it like push-pull. Doesn't really matter. But then after this, they will repeat the cycle. They go again with legs, and then biceps, and then triceps. And the idea of this is that you give the legs time to rest in between, and that's why you basically split it up. If you would do a full body workout every time you would go to the gym, your sort of body would not have time for the restitution period, as it's called, where you're basically breaking down your muscles in the gym, and you are like, they will, if you give them rest, they will grow back stronger than they were originally. So basically, I think you're like tearing apart the muscle fibers or something like this, and they grow back denser because they don't want to get broken again, and then you break them again and again. I think, if my biology in high school serves me right, that's how it works. Anyway, all of these people, even the most competitive of these kind of sort of workout athletes, is that they have a rest day on the 7th day. And this is because your body needs to rest. What my mental coach told me when I was burned out was that the brain is also a muscle, and the brain also needs its restitution period. The problem for the brain is that the brain can hardly rest because it's always active. Even when you are sleeping, your brain is active. And so, even though your brain is active while you sleep, this is the restitution period for your brain. That's why if you play a lot or work a lot and then you also don't sleep very much, this is very likely to lead to a burnout, or it will at the very least make it much more difficult for you to learn new things, simply because your brain is too overloaded, and you need the brain to rest. And that's why when people ask if sleep is important, well, it would be stupid of you to go to the gym 7 days a week and destroy your body. This does not make you stronger. In fact, it just leads to injury. It diminishes your returns because the returns from your working out comes from the rest. And if you think of the brain as a muscle in the same way as the muscles in your arms or in your legs, it's more easy to understand the importance of this restitution. I've heard that someone like Saiwu, for example, sometimes when he goes to events, he will literally sleep. He will go to bed and sleep like 14 hours. Simply because he probably is kind of burned out and has something he needs to catch up on. And that's why resting your brain is super important. We can take this a step further with food and drink. Like getting enough of this is important for your focus, because if your body runs out of energy to burn, basically, your performance, both physical and mental, will deteriorate, basically, at least temporarily until you gas up again. How do you define burnout? What I would define it as, to someone who doesn't kind of know burnout, is just stress. Like if you know someone who has had to take time off work because they are stressed and they literally can't do basically anything for 1 or 2 months, that is a burnout. Like your body kind of shuts down and you, I don't know, whatever, start crying. Every time you think about even having to work, you just want to lay in bed all day. This is when you've been pushing yourself too hard, and it's kind of your brain's way of letting you know that you did not get the restitution that you need. When all the time I play with my friend, he's only focusing on his emotions. For example, if somebody dies, instead of trying to refrag, he's instantly crying about us dying like that, even though he's in the wrong. What should I tell him about it? Well, you should tell him that that's really bad. You should always play out the round to full before you make any comments. I even have it sometimes when I play Face It, that, for example, my teammate will peak bad, and then he will die, and then as I want to peak, I'm thinking about this was bad, so then when I peak, I maybe also lose the duel, and then immediately I will be like, yeah, you shouldn't have peaked there. Or maybe I even kill this guy, and then I play through the clutch, and almost as soon as I die, I say, yeah, we shouldn't have peaked like that in cap. And then it's like, it's so clear that my mind is actually filled up with something else, basically. Yeah, Space Wolf, if you're getting 4 hours a day sleep, that's not good enough, bro. Those are rookie numbers, and you gotta pump those numbers up. JJ Sepp says, micro tears after training where you need rest for the tears to repair so muscles become stronger, otherwise you will start to get overtrained or burn out. Thank you. Should you play or rest a day before the tournament qualifier? It really depends. The evil cycle that I have ended in far too many times in my career, and honestly has probably been the number one reason why I didn't have a better career than I did, is that I am, once again, not a robot, and this is also one of those times where being a robot is bad. Or like not being a robot is bad, is that if I am playing well, like really well, I will maybe relax with aim practicing, because I don't feel like I need it as much anymore, since I'm anyway playing well. And then the problem is, if I'm playing bad, my mindset is, I don't want this to happen again. So now I'm going to play extra, and I will play extra deathmatch and all this. That is on its own actually a kind of solid thing. It means that when things are going good, I'm allowing myself some extra rest so I don't overplay. But it also means that when I'm playing bad, I'm pushing myself very hard. So this is also kind of a good thing, because it obviously, if you're playing bad, the obvious answer is, okay, I need to work harder. Well, problem is, sometimes I have been playing bad due to a burnout, and then my normal reaction to that is, okay, I need to play more. And if you're burned out, and then you keep putting hours into deathmatch, and you actually play more than you would normally, you're making your burnout worse. This is why my number one tip if you are in a slump is take 2 days away from the game. I know it's kind of not good for me to say. I think I've said in the previous coaching session as well. But what I have done in the past is I will take 2 days off the game, and especially if it's around a weekend, I will go like drinking with my friends or something like this. And what I say is that I am killing off the stupid brain cells. Now, I'm not promoting alcohol usage, and I hope that no one here is struggling with being an alcoholic or something like this. I can safely say drinking alcohol is not good for you, but this idea of being able to unwind in a way where you don't need to think about much is one of the best ways you can counter a burnout and also prevent it. It's just whenever you have an off day from the team, if you're feeling like you are slightly burned out, take this time for yourself and relax. Don't think about Counter-Strike. I've heard some other pros saying to do some aim training before bed or before going off for the day. Is that something you do, Nevzavix? I think it depends. I'm much more the type of guy, I prefer to do it before I play. I don't really do it much anymore. I don't really warm up anymore. But when I used to play, I would always warm up for 1 hour of individual aim practice before every match or practice session with my team. So yeah. Before playing any tourney qualifier, my hands are always cold, which is not normal. Is the pressure / nervousness? Have you ever encountered this? I know some players had problems with it, but I actually never had problems with this, so it's not something I can really help you with, sadly. Yeah, no, I never had that problem actually. Like, I'm always cold, but it's just because I'm cold. But my hands, I never had problems with cold hands. But if you're playing a tournament, like, it happens even sometimes, you will see it rarely, that pro players, instead of sitting in their team jersey, they will put on a hoodie and then they will put on their team jersey on top of the hoodie, for example. That way you can keep more body heat while still repping your brand. So, yeah. Also, Renee, to answer your question, should you play or rest the day before the tournament qualifier? What do you do? If you're not feeling symptoms of burning out, I would say you should play the day before. Typically, I think the best ways pros do it is that before the biggest tournaments, the most important tournaments, they will pump up their hours a lot. There's very few players going into like a major, for example, who don't have 100 hours past 2 weeks, because you will typically bump up the playing hours as a team, but also individually because you want to be playing at your top performance. I feel like I should really have an example of another sport, but this is just not sustainable over a longer period of time, playing like 120 hours past 2 weeks. That's why the pros do it for the big tournaments. Some are able to do it always, like someone like Blame F. Seems like he never burns out. And I attribute that a lot to the fact that he goes to the gym and kind of rests his brain while he's doing a lot of physical exercise. But pros will bump up their numbers right before a tournament so that they are individually very sharp, and then they will probably after the tournament go on a slight hiatus, like they will relax a little bit more because now the job is done. So you basically play up so your performance is really top quality for the duration of only a couple of days, like a big tournament, and then you will naturally come down in hours after the tournament, since that is when you will have time to relax your brain. It is a sort of back and forth thing, and that's also why one of the best things that you can teach yourself as a Counter-Strike player is listening to your body's needs and also understanding your body's needs. Like, there's a very big difference in how my body feels if I didn't get enough sleep, or if I didn't get enough food, or if I didn't get enough to drink. And understanding which one it is allows you to fix it during a match, or allows you to understand, okay, I didn't do this well enough today, so I need to do it better tomorrow. Listening to your body's warning signs is one of the best things you can learn, especially if you're trying to go pro. This will also include something like signs of burnout. if you feel like you're losing focus or you're playing on autopilot, as I call it, where like instead of actually thinking about what you're doing or like doing something that makes sense, like every round you're just running around like this, and then like, oh, you peek, he's not here, okay, then I peek, okay, he's not here, then I peek, okay, I peek, okay, he was here, I died. This is what I call autopilot, when you just, it seems like there's nothing going on, like you're just playing the same patterns that you have done before, but you're not adapting at all to what the opponent is doing. Yeah. So looking for signs of burnout is really good. You gotta catch that as early as possible. General question: when I start playing without warm-up, I aim a lot better than with warm-upping with aim bots. For me, it's just better to warm up playing first few rounds of the game. If it's not an important game, do you have any better way to warm up after aim bots? I'm only focused to flick onto heads and I miss a lot because the movement is playerish and not bot-like. I don't know. Like, I think you should do what feels good for you as well. That's also one of the things. Like, sort of again, listening to your body. Some players need a lot of deathmatch to play well. I played with Dennis and Sprout, for example. He never warmed up for anything, not even at the big tournaments. He would not even touch a deathmatch server. And that's just what he preferred. And if he doesn't want to do that, then I'm fine with it, you know. As long as he is... as long as my teammates are trying their hardest, I can't ask for more. And so, if my guy doesn't think deathmatch makes him play better, kind of what you're saying, or aim bots doesn't make him play better, then just don't. You need to do what you think is best for you. So long as it doesn't come from a place of laziness, then I won't ever be able to complain about it. Renee says, how do you stop being a whiny cunt when dying? I'm guilty of this. I feel like also I get more whiny when I don't eat enough. If you are bad at eating, then that could be it. Yeah, it's basically being hangry. Like, if I would not eat for a full practice day, I would always have some beef with someone. On Sprout, for example. It was especially Sprout. Like, I just knew if I skipped my lunch one day, absolutely that day I would be pissed, I would be playing bad, or at least worse, and I would be having these kind of like, why don't you help me? Or I would be like, why are you doing this? Or like these kind of things. But if I would be eating, then I would be like a real chill guy, you know? So I actually think eating is the most important thing when it comes to that. But yeah. Yeah. I don't really know if I have something more. Like, I've just been talking loosely about things that might help players. Yeah. But I hope that some of it still helps. I feel like I had something that I wanted to say. But again, I don't know, man. I actually found just something now. What was it? I found something that was called on my phone. 2 seconds. I will just take a look here. It was also called where is it actually? Yeah, no, guys, I don't know what it was I saw. It was like also these sentences, but it was just yeah, it was different. Anyway, I can't find it. Dude, maybe I'm phase 4 only because I don't eat or sleep. Like, I eat once a day and sleep not much. Yes, that could very well be. Like, no joke. I actually want you to do, if you're up for it, you've got to do an experiment with yourself here. You need to get at least 7 hours of sleep a night and eat 3 meals per day. If you manage this, I promise you will at least get phase at level 7, even without getting better at the game. Promise you. And yeah, Renee says, makes sense because I only eat twice a day. Yeah, that's not good enough. It's it will make you play worse. I promise you. I'm too lazy to learn utility. How do I force myself to do it? I mean, Space Wolf, just so everyone who's in the video, like watching the video, are aware, this is also something that might be fixed by you sleeping and eating more. Maybe you don't have the energy. Maybe, like, when I don't sleep and when I don't eat proper, I will procrastinate more. Because if you don't have the energy to do it, you're not gonna do it. So yeah, that's that. Yeah. Let me actually see. I don't even know if this smoke works. But I'm just waiting for you guys to come with some. I think actually it works somehow. If you can. It's probably slightly different. I think this doesn't work anymore actually. Holy hell, guys. I think my God tier lineup doesn't work anymore. Wait, maybe it does. Ah, okay. I will wait for a few questions, but I want to show you guys a really cool smoke that if you want to impress the girls at the club. Not like that. Also not like that. So it needs to be more to the right. No, left. Maybe here. Even more, I think. Let me see. Where did my trails go, by the way? Didn't I put this on? I don't know. How do you prepare mentally against opponents who you know are miles better? You've probably already lost the battle if you think that your opponents are miles better. You can't have that mindset. Like, you need to think that you are the goat of all goats. So is it more right? I think it is more right. Yeah, it is. Oh, so close. I'm not sure if this lineup is actually even possible. You used to be able to throw it a smoke that went through here and bounce like that. But yeah. How would you deal with toxic teammates when solo queuing any player? So I deal with a lot. I think this is also when where you can change your mindset a lot. Sometimes you gotta just understand that you can't change people. If they are toxic, just think that they are a child or something. I don't know. Like, have you ever heard about that thing where like you're going into an important business meeting and then you hear something like, yeah, just picture everyone naked. Like, just picture that everyone is a 20 IQ 4-year-old child. At some point, you're just not gonna care what they say anymore, you know? Like, if they're gonna throw a tantrum like a child, then in your mind, they might as well be a child. And it really is the same as when you when someone gets bullied in school. If you don't acknowledge the bullying, or if you stand up for yourself, typically stops. So what I just do is either I just act like I don't hear it, or I will just say, shut the fuck up. Like, I will never ever try to make it worse, but I will always just try to make them cut it out real fast. And I will also protect my teammates like that. Even if I don't know them, if someone starts being toxic in my game, I'll be like, just shut up, you know? Like, yeah. Do you used to stay really strict on the food you eat relating to nutrition, protein, and health? No. This is something that would have probably eked out a few more percentages, or sort of micro percentages. But, yeah, no, I didn't. I just make sure that I eat. Like, I always had a pretty balanced meal, like, except when I was living alone, like heroic times. But I always had pretty balanced diet, I guess. So it's not really something I was caring about so much. I also have no knowledge of it, I'm gonna be honest. I have a couple friends that are phase level 10s, and when I play phase with them on matchmaking, I'm doing alright. Plus minus 22 kills per 25 round match, but when I play solo queue, I'm getting the same solo results, but I feel like my teammates are kind of holding me back. Which one of my 2600 Elo friends said it could be true? Do you have any idea, any advice to either find teammates or how to get out of hard stock level 5? So I want to address two things here. And this is actually really important. One of them is there is 0 chance that you as a level 5 playing against level 10s get on average 22 kills per 25 rounds. Like, that would be a good performance even for a level 10. I have to be sort of brutally honest here. Obviously, if you can prove that you have multiple matches where you play against level 10s and you typically hit almost 1 kill per round, I will believe it. But that statement, it sounds like you are being a little bit delulu about your own performances, because everyone always says this, where they say, yeah, I'm so much better than my rank and stuff like this. But if you would be putting up those kind of performances, 22 kills per 25 round match, either it's because you're like baiting and only getting eco frags, so that you don't have any impact with your kills, or this is simply not happening, because you cannot be level 5 and be getting 1 kill per round in level 10 lobbies. It's just not possible. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing, which is something that I love to say, is that there's no such thing as being hard stuck on a rank, because my opponents are 5 randoms, and my team are 4 randoms. The last person on my team is me. If I play good, and if I am nice, and if I'm communicating, and if I'm all these kind of things, then the other team has 5 chances to get an idiot, and my team only has 4 chances to get an idiot. The odds will work out in your favor in the end. If you are a positive influence in your team, if you're performing consistently well, if you are communicating and these kind of things, well, it is more likely that the troll or the bad player or the whatever ends up on the other team, because you're already carrying your 20% of the 5 guys. In my opinion, there's no such thing as being hard stock, because over time, if you play enough, if you are always a positive influence, if you're always playing above your elo, just mathematically, it will work out that you will get to a high rank. That's just how it is. Is it better to mute a teammate if they're toxic, or just ignore them? I like to just ignore them, because sometimes they might still give some kind of an info that I can use. I don't really like muting people. Yeah, and Rene says, I mean, playing against the tier 1/tier 2 pro and his goon squad, where you know they're just better. I don't think there's something you can really do. Just try your hardest, honestly, because, like, if they are better, they are better. But typically, if you play against someone who is that much better, your teammates will also be better than you. Like, the elo will always balance out, typically. And WBF said, I don't always get that performance, obviously, and when we play, it's most commonly also something like mixed up levels because of me. I'm not saying that I should be level 10 tomorrow because of these couple of matches I did good, but when 4 players level 10s tell me I don't play as level 5, I just get lost playing solo queue. Yeah, I get that, but still, you can have good mechanics and you can have a lot of kills without being better than being level 5, you know? Like, those level 10s are probably doing a lot of things you aren't doing. Like, maybe you are making some decisions where you are baiting your teammates, not on purpose, but it could happen. Maybe the level 10s are calling more rounds, maybe they have a better read of the situation, maybe they are taking timings better than you. And I've seen many times where a worse player will get more kills than me, even though I was an active professional, simply because he had a low sensitivity, good mechanics, and was not taking any risk. Those kind of players, they can get a lot of kills, but that doesn't mean that they have as much impact as me, even though I don't get as many kills as them. But the way it works with elo is something that defines how good you are. And if you are better than your elo, then you will go up. That's how I see it. I'm not saying that every elo system in every game is perfect, but the way it works in Faceit, where it just takes the average elo of all the players and makes teams based on that, it means that if you are consistently 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10 are playing above what a normal player your elo would be playing, you will be winning. Not every match, but you will be over a longer period of time be winning. So basically, I just need to play solo queue until I reach my skill ceiling. Yes, like I had a guy, I think he was like level 5 or 6. His name was Greg. He was from the UK, and he was, I think, this was from his mouth, right? But he said he was like a former pro boxer or something like that. Maybe he was not a former pro boxer. Maybe he was a former pro FIFA player. I'm not quite sure actually. But it was like he was doing boxing and FIFA. I don't know. Maybe it was former FIFA pro. He said. I never verified it, so I don't know. But this is what he said. And he was honestly pretty good at CS, and he had a really good like learner's mindset and these kind of things, growth mindset. But what he lacked was just he didn't play enough matches. So like he was level 6 just because he had only played 140 games or something like that. And then he paid me for coaching a lot, many days in a row even. And I helped him a lot getting like to get better at the game. But really, the number one thing I said to him was just, you gotta just spam matches. Like, you just gotta play a lot, because you are way better than the level you are at. And if you don't play, you're not going to get ELO, obviously. But if you are better than your ELO in 8 out of 10 games, well, then the only thing you need is games. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm doing my nose again, guys. I have time for like 1 or 2 more questions, and then I'm gonna have to skedaddle, as I always say. I want to share one last thing that has helped me massively in my time as a Counter-Strike player, and that is it really does not matter where I am today. Like when I was coming up as a non-pro, and I was seeing someone like Mertz, for example. Me and him, it was actually always the case that Mertz would be in one team, he would leave that team, they would open up a spot that I would then get. And I was always right in his footsteps, but he was always at a higher level than me. And on top of this, Mertz was 2 years younger than me. And you know, it hurt because I wanted to be the best player in the world. But I was always behind this guy who was at the same time younger than me and who had a skill set, a mechanical skill set far above mine. Something that is really difficult to learn. But what you have to understand is that it realistically does not matter at all where you are today. It only matters how fast you can improve. And so you don't need to beat someone like, even if you look at someone like Saivu, if you want to be better than this guy, you don't need to think in 3 years I need to be better than him. You just need to think in the next 3 years I need to improve faster than him. And even if you maybe don't get better than him because the gap right now might be very wide, well, you will always close that gap if you improve faster than him. This is kind of obvious, but it's a nice way of thinking about it, that someone who's better than you currently doesn't mean that they're always better than you. You can close that gap by improving faster than them. And how do you improve faster? Well, you put in more work, you take things more seriously, you do get your sleep, you do get your eating right, you do get your drinking right, you do maybe go to the gym, do some physical work, all these kind of things. That's the one thing that I want to say. The other thing that I have always stood by, and I do this with everything in my life, I haven't done it so much in my recent years, but honestly, I should. I had this mindset that if I get 0.0% better every day, well then, the first day it's only 0.01%, right? But the next day, it's 0.01% of the sort of improvement I already had from yesterday. Like, it kind of scales with itself, right? Imagine you're 1% better. Okay, so then, let's say, so the first day, I'm 100% of myself. Next day, I get 1% better. Now I'm 101%. Then next day, okay, now it's the 0.01% of the 101. So now I am 101 point, and I'm probably fucking this up, but 101.01% better. And then it just keeps scaling. If you keep improving at the same rate, well, your skill level will sort of exponentially improve. And this is kind of my mindset with everything in life. I want to every day get just a tiny, tiny bit, even 0.01% better than I was the previous day. If I manage that, I will always improve. And it doesn't seem like something that is impossible. Sometimes when we think about Counter-Strike, you look at it and you say, I mean, I need to get at least 50% better to become like Saihu. And you think this is impossible. But take it in take it in increments. Take it in 0.01% and just let it stack up day by day by day by day, and you will see how much better you get in the long run. Okay, I will do the questions real quick, guys, and then I'm gonna hop off because I need some sleep. I have to wake up in 7 hours from now. Regarding not playing enough matches, I do not have the mental capacity to do so anything besides waiting for my friends to hop on. Playing with friends is great. Maybe try to expand your social circle so that you always have friends who are online. That would be one way to do it. And it's not sort of that often the quantity. Like when you're a low skill player, the quantity is very important. Later stages, when you are already maybe level 10 face and stuff, the quality of your matches is far more important. A little bit about choking. While I don't feel any pressure, I usually choke the early lead 7-2 or so and come back from a 2-7 loss. Do I make more mistakes in the lead without realizing it, or is it something else? This is a good question, Ryan. I think, and this might be an unpopular opinion, and I think this is where the experts will probably tell me I'm stupid, but from my thinking, I've had a few times that my team has had a problem. Let's say it's something like this. Our problem is how we always choke the early lead, or we can't close out matches, or we can't do this, or you remember, I mean, a lot of people here are from North America, right? You remember when Liquid could only get second place finishes, no matter what. They would always end second place. They could never win a number one. And I think it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you think about it, the more you will be thinking about it in the moment. So if you are thinking already before the match starts, because you've seen this trend, I always choke the early lead when I'm in front 7-2. When you get to 7-2, they will be thinking, oh my god, I always choke the early lead. I need to do something different. And then you changing something is what ruins your lead. So I think sometimes with trends like that, we're not able to close out games, or we choke the early leads, these kind of things. I think they are things you should throw in the trash. Just forget about it. And instead, work positively. Instead of having focus on a problem, have a focus on a solution. Why do you choke this early lead? So let's say I've had some teams where we've been struggling to close out matches, right? And instead of being like, how do we fix it so we can better close out matches? What we instead do is we will focus on the solution, which is we watch the match and we see what kind of mistakes did we make in the match, and then we will solve them. Because if we solve the problems that, if we solve the misplays that caused the problem will eventually go away. Obviously, there can be a time where, we always can't close out matches, and it is something mental. Well, you can talk about it, and you can probably figure something out, but it's just, how can I say? I think sometimes it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's the same way you see it a lot. FaZe, for example. Then they lost to Bad News Eagles at the major and went out in horrific fashion. And I think they even lost against the next major. And this is just, I think, something mental. Why are G2 always known for choking? Why are G2 doing these things with a bomb? It almost has to be something that they've talked about, and then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Or, for example, if anyone remembers this Danish team North, they had the problem that they were underperforming, right? And they would change every single player. It's I don't know what this ship is. Maybe someone who's smarter than me knows it. I want to say the ship of Sisyphus, but this makes no sense to me. I don't think that's what it's called. But this idea of this ship where you replace 50% of its parts, is it still the same ship? And then afterwards you replace one part at a time. And it's like, oh, is it still the same ship? Until you've changed every part and you ask the question, is it still the same ship? Because you've been changing the parts one at a time. I don't remember what is ship of Theseus. Thank you. Sisyphus was kind of close. At least I like to think so. But North was ship of Theseus. They were changing one player at a time, and they could not overcome this mental block of underperforming. And I think it was because every single day, what did they start out with? They started out with, guys, we are underperforming. How can we fix this? And then you're thinking immediately, oh fuck, we're underperforming. Then you have a bad start in the game. Then you see, oh my god, we're underperforming again. Oh, and then it gets much worse. I'm not saying turn your back to problems. Like, mental issues have to be addressed. But I'm a bigger fan of focusing on the solution instead of the problem. Focus on fixing the issues that caused you to underperform, instead of focusing on, we're underperforming. We need to fix this. But yeah. Okay, guys. I think that's what I have time for today. Spacewall says, how do I find people to play with Solo Created? I'll touch on this very, very briefly. How I see it. Play some solo queues. If you find someone who you enjoy playing with, someone who has a nice mindset, someone who's a nice guy, someone who's talkative, just invite him to friends and start playing with him. That's what I recommend doing. So yeah. Alright, thank you so much for watching the video, guys. And see you in the next one. Yes.